Hey, it's Shay Schwartzman with the Done For You video and audio marketing system. And today I wanted to share with you some information on the one-step listing system. This is an exclusive program to the Proctor System. And what it does is it pre-sells you or your outside sales agent to the prospect, your seller prospect, before you actually even show up to the listing appointment.
I resisted it for the longest time, but then I realized I don't want to go on every listing presentation anymore, and the best way to ensure that we still get the business is to send a pre-selling kit. So I jumped all in. I used to send agents out. We had about a 30% conversion rate when I was sending agents out on listing presentations. Since we implemented the platinum pre-selling kit, it's jumped to 80%. So almost a triple jump from where we were, and it's because they're being pre-sold. So our agents don't have to work as hard. They don't take the commission cuts. They don't get the second appointment to have to go back to the house. So ultimately, they're more effective, which moves the needle for my company. And it's highly effective because I don't have to go on every listing presentation anymore.
It's like they already know you. You walk in the door, they've read about you, even if they've just skimmed the material. They recognize you, they know, it makes the appointment half the time rather than going through the introductions. They've already met you. It makes it much easier.
Yeah, we send the bomb 48 hours before we go for listing presentation, and by the time you show up, you feel like a superstar coming in. People know a lot about you, they've done a lot of search, and they see a lot about you. So it gives a real good introduction to people before you step in the door.
I recently had the opportunity to interview Sandy Casella, top real estate agent, team leader, and Proctor System coach, on how she's successfully signing more buyers to contract using the one-step listing system. We're here, Sandy, with one of your pre-selling kits. Tell me, how do you use this, and when do you send it out? Explain to us some of the best practices around the pre-selling kit.
Okay, thank you, Shay. So what I do with the bomb is when I set a listing appointment, I always make sure my listing appointment is set 2 or 3 days out, and I get this to the seller. I get this delivered to the seller at least 48 hours before my listing appointment. So I want them to have time to open it and look through it. It's very unique, so nobody else is sending anything like this out. When they get this package, and I go to the house for the listing appointment, I will often see it on the counter, and I'll see all the pieces out, which means they've read it, which I know means that they're more serious sellers. And if I see that, then I typically know I'm going to get that listing. So this has been an absolute game changer for me. So since I started using this with my listing in conjunction with my listing presentation, I rarely lose out on getting a listing because this tool, it pre-sells me. So before I even get there, they've read a lot of information about me. For sure, everybody should be using this for their listing presentations.
And do you let them know to expect it?
I do. So when I book a listing appointment, I say to them at the end, oh, and by the way, you can expect a package to be dropped off at your house from me within the next day or two. Please have a look. Please look out for it, and then please look through it before I get there. So I do want them to open it. I do want them to read it before I get there because it pre-sells me, and then I don't have with my listing presentation, I don't have as much that I have to go through because they've read most of what's in there.
All of the material that we'll show you briefly right now is all being customized to Sandy. We work with you to put it together with all of your information, your statistics, etc. So we open it up. So the first thing that they read when they open up the box is an intro letter from you that really reiterates the benefits of the meeting. So it sets the stage for the meeting, why it's important that they meet with you before they meet or choose any real estate agent to sell their house. Why is this intro there? Why is setting the stage before you show up so important?
This is really important because this gives them all the information about me, and I typically like to make my appointments last. So if they're interviewing other agents, I go last. I don't want them to list with one of those agents before my appointment. That's a risky run. So with this letter and all the information that's in here, they are so curious, they don't want to, nobody else is going to show them this, so they're much less likely to go ahead and list with one of those agents without talking to me first.
After the letter, we'll find the 8 Dan Kennedy letters. When they open up the box and everything starts to get spread out over the table, there's that perception that, wow, there's a lot of really good information here. This person really must know what they're talking about.
Yes. Oh, yes. It absolutely sets you apart as a professional. This makes you look way different than the other real estate agents. So this is very professionally done, very easy to set up, I will say. You guys took care of all of that for me with a little bit of information that I gave you. And when a client sees this, they perceive me as a professional, which means that they're more likely to list their house with me. They're more likely to trust my judgment on price and how to present the house. So it really helps to smooth the whole process down. Because they've read all of this, they see all of this information, they feel like they already know me.
We put this same information in a newspaper format, and we also show, because Sandy sells so many homes in Mississauga, over 400 homes, she can do a lot more to sell your home for more money and in less time. And she could do a lot more than the typical agent can to sell your home. So we show in sort of in a pictorial way the benefits of working with Sandy.
The good thing about this whole system here is this appeals to every DISC personality profile. So if they're a visual person, they'll look through here. If they're a person who likes to get a lot of detail, a lot of information, they're going to read everything in here. If they're a high D personality, they're probably just going to quickly flip through it, but it still appeals to it appeals to every one of them. Now, when I sit down with them, it's pre-sold them, so especially when you have a couple that have very different DISC personality profiles, it helps to shorten down that period of the trust on each side.
So you never leave home without it?
I never leave home without it. I would never go on a listing appointment without sending this first. I would never do it. Yeah, ever since I started using these, it goes to every single listing appointment that I have. It's that important.
Any final thoughts, anything you want to share about the pre-selling kit, any strategies that you found have worked particularly well for you?
With the pre-selling kit, the things that are really important is to book your listing presentation far enough out that you can get this to them and they have time to read it. So you want to get this to them about 48 hours ahead of the listing appointment, and you want to make sure it goes to every listing appointment. And then you also want to tell the person when you book the appointment that you're going to drop this off and you want them to take a look at it. The last thing you need to do is just make sure that if they don't live at the property, you have an address to send it to, so it goes to their home address where they're going to be able to get that before the listing appointment and not to a property that may be vacant.
You had a couple of anecdotes, a couple stories where you shared where you sent this. You could maybe you could share it with us to show that the gratitude that people have actually receiving this.
Yeah, so actually, in fact, a couple of days ago, I had a listing appointment earlier this week, and I sent this out 48 hours before the appointment, and I actually got a call from her thanking me before the appointment. She was confirming the appointment and also thanking me for sending all of this information to her. When I got to the house and we did the listing presentation, she referenced it a lot. And then when I talked about my worthy cause, because there's information in here about my worthy cause as well, she'd already known about my worthy cause, and she was very excited about that. So I get that type of reaction quite frequently from people when I send this to them, that I will get somebody acknowledging that they've received it. I'm confirming your appointment. I've received your package. Thank you very much for sending it. When I get to the house, a lot of times, most of the time, it's sitting on the kitchen table and they've got pieces of it out. And I've had people who've had a whole list of questions because there may be a very high C personality. They've gone through this and now they've got a list of questions which are already pretty much answered in here. Then I'm answering them again with them, and it just makes the whole process so much easier. So if you want to cut down the process, you want to build up the trust before you ever get to the client's house, you want them to feel like they know you, this is a really good kit. So I thank you for putting this together and making it so easy for me to generate these listings.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time today, and thanks for sharing with us your experiences.
Thank you, Shay. Appreciate it.
I hope you got some really good information out of that video. Sandy Casella is using this effectively, and the best practices that she shared should be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to you and your business. I invite you to visit our Craig Proctor Systems booth just outside the Royal Ballroom on October 12th to go through the one-step listing system with us. Ask your questions and check out the many examples and samples from members all across the country that we'll have there. We'll even have special offers for you to take advantage of while you're at the conference. We look forward to seeing you in Anaheim on October 12th.